Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Well, I'm pretty sure all of you guys have heard the phrases ganja, bud, weed, tree, grass, whatever you guys have heard, but you guys know what I'm referring to. I'm obviously talking about marijuana. Regardless, marijuana is here to stay in California. As a matter of fact, the LA Times says that there's 450 dispensaries in Los Angeles itself filing for taxes this year. Now, I want to speak about the medical benefits of marijuana and how it can help our economy, and I also want to go through the contradictions that many people can come across through marijuana. But first, through an interview done by Chris Killam on Fox News, he states that the THC found in cannabis actually helps people with glaucoma. Now, glaucoma is it's a disease where your eye has certain pain, and the THC in marijuana actually relieves that pain as well. He also states that CBD found in cannabis helps stop spreading cancer by reducing the size and eventually stopping the gene called ID9, which is the gene in ID9 found in cancer actually stops the gene ID9 in cancer actually promotes the spreading of cancer, but through cannabis and the CBD, it actually reduces that and it actually stops the spreading of cancer. I also wanted to talk about how it can help our economy as well. Now, I want to talk about what was the alcohol abolishment in 1920. Now, at this time, through these 13 years, alcohol was completely abolished from consumption and production. Regardless, there was black market was made, and therefore, alcohol was still distributed in an underground level through the black market, and people still had access to it. Now, after they finally legalized alcohol, through that they had they had a lot of revenue through legalizing alcohol. As a matter of fact, they actually made a lot of profit through it, and I can see the same thing coming from legalizing marijuana through crime rate. Because of the underground black market, there's a lot of crime rate going on, especially down in Mexico, because I guess that's their main plug. And but through legalizing marijuana, we can have $50 billion in revenue just on taxes alone. Not only that, the process of incarceration our inmates has cost us $1 billion. And that's just because of marijuana. This is all from an article from Harry Bradford from the Huffington Post. He also states that $41 billion would be saved from non-regulation of marijuana. Also, so in total, with all of that, $560 billion would be saved from just legalizing marijuana. Not only that, that would help us economically and eventually helping us and our economy. Now, there's a lot of contradictions towards marijuana. I mean, don't get me wrong, it can affect your lungs, and there's many things that can go wrong when you smoke a lot of weed. But but let's face it, sugar kills you too as well. And I believe that it's better, rather than smoking cigarettes, which kills 1 out of 5 Americans, and alcohol that kills 1 out of 10 Americans, I believe that, and smoking marijuana has not killed anybody, according to the CDC website. And people say it's a gateway drug as well. Now, for me to you can let it be a gateway drug if you want it to be. I mean, through the research I have found, marijuana is not addicting at all. You can certainly become dependent on it if you want to be, but that's just all personal. And that just goes for the people that abuse the drug for non-medical purposes. And just to wrap things up, through my research, I have found the medical benefits of marijuana. I also have found the economical benefits to America itself. And if you guys want to help the cause, there's a website called the NORML.org, and you can there sign a petition and even donate money as well. I was like, so much going on.
He's like, I'm gonna say what next.
I was just like, reminiscing. I love it. Or Daisy confused with Colby. Radical. So bad that it's exactly like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, Andrew, share your thoughts with us, please, loud and clear.
Alright, I thought your attention device was kind of good. I like the different names. You had a good preview, but I'm pretty sure it's glaucoma, not glaucoma, you said. I like how you related it to the alcohol prohibition in 1920, how it's kind of the same thing. People are going to do it no matter what. Your eye contact was a little shaky. It seemed like you really had to rely on your notes. Your statistics were really good, kind of backing up what you're saying, but I wish you would have had a little more examples, like maybe a personal experience or like a story about someone. The death rate, I thought that was nice. You could have gone over that a little bit more, just because you could have emphasized it more that marijuana has killed nobody while alcohol is killing thousands and thousands of people. But overall, it was pretty good.
All right. Yeah, the slang terms are okay. They're kind of interesting to get our attention. The problem is that it kind of creates an attitude of frivolity about the subject instead of being, look, I got a serious argument to make here about why marijuana legalization would be a good or useful thing. It sounds like you're kidding around and, let's all get high and talk about this. And that's, I don't think that works very well for an argument where you're trying to convince people, you really, there's something wrong with our current policy. We should be talking about this. And it comes across, I think, as a little, like I said, yeah, a little coy. It was not clear at the beginning what your exact goal was. I knew that what your general position would be on the subject. It sounded to me like you were going to be focusing primarily on medical marijuana at first, but then it turned into and evolved into a more general appeal about changing the laws on marijuana. And I'm going to disagree with Andrew. I didn't think there was a very clear preview in the speech. To me, it just seemed like you wandered into the subject and issue after issue came up and you just started talking about whatever the next issue was. And sometimes there were things that popped up and got mentioned and then they just disappeared almost immediately. The alcohol prohibition comparison is a typical argument that gets made there, but you need a little bit more extensive comparison for this to be workable. Okay, so what happened with prohibition? What was the data about people's alcohol use? What information do we have about crimes that were going on as a consequence of that sort of thing? Now let's talk about what's going on. Apparently I'm supposed to know everything that's going on in Mexico, and I don't really, other than a vague reference to that. I don't have much about how organized crime is involved in this process. And if your argument is that we're going to reduce the power of organized crime by legalizing this, well, show us how we reduced the power of organized crime when we got rid of prohibition. What was the impact on organized crime 70 or 80 years ago? Geez, it's getting to be almost 90 years ago now. And then why would it be different now? Is it having that effect? By the way, we've got a couple of states that have already done what you're talking about. Do you have any data from those places to show the things that you're talking about are going to occur, that we're getting all this billions of dollars, or we're saving all this money? The total that you came up with, $560 billion, I didn't start calculating all the numbers, but what you presented sounded like a lot of money. I'm not saying it wasn't, but how you got the $560 billion, I wasn't quite sure. That seemed to me like it was random data that was being pushed together, and even then it didn't sound like that total. Of course, like I said, I wasn't doing the math as I went along. That just seems like an awfully high number. No irony intended on that one. All right. On the delivery, look, you've got a lot of enthusiasm, but you need to be, I think, a little bit more engaged. And I know you're talking about a subject you think maybe the audience will relate to in an amusing way, but I think your tone comes across a little, like I said, facile. Your eye contact is good generally. Your gestures are involved. I don't know, right after I told the last speaker you ought to get rid of the podium, the first thing that you did was stand behind the podium, and you don't really use it. You're not putting notes on it. So why you're letting it hide you from us, I don't know. That seemed a little bit problematic. Okay, that's it. Thank you.